In 1997, StarFox won a great victory. I felt in that moment it would live to be 100. Now I know we'll not see past 2016. But actually, I'm wrong, because the Nintendo Switch does have a StarFox game. Wait, does it? Well, we're just looking at the wrong name. Starlink, Battle for Atlas, was a game released back in 2018 for PS4, Xbox, and the Switch by Ubisoft. And if you buy the Switch version, you get the StarFox Crossover Starter Pack. This comes with Fox and an Arwing toy, which, if you put on your controller, adds Fox as a playable pilot and the Arwing as a playable spaceship. So now I have StarFox toys as a grown man, because I needed to see for myself if this StarFox crossover made by Ubisoft captured any of the magic of the original StarFox games. So, did it? Well, all the StarFox stuff is basically DLC, so I'll explain the base game first. Starlink Battle for Atlas is a third-person spaceship shooter where you pilot a ship with 2 changeable weapon slots. The protagonists are a crew on the ship called the Equinox, who arrive in the Atlas system and is ambushed by the antagonists of the game, the Legion. The Equinox crash lands and the captain is taken hostage by the Legion. You will then choose a pilot and a ship and begin your fight to take Atlas back from the Legion. You'll start off on one planet, progressing your way to fixing up the Equinox so that it can provide more and more upgrades to you to help your battle. With enough progress, your ship will be upgraded enough to fly out of orbit and fly to other planets in the system. From then on, you'll be flying planet to planet, fighting back against the Legion forces, freeing each planet, and gaining their alliance by building different types of outposts on those planets. Once you progress enough from that, you take the fight to the Legion ship that has your captain hostage. Defeat it and get your captain back right before he passes away. With the information he gives you, you're able to then build an outpost on a planet in each of the 3 different sectors of the Atlas system. Those outposts give you the information needed to find the location of the leader of the Legion so you can go and attack and end their threat. Along the way, there are 2 optional side missions, one where you'll find your captain's old personal logs about each of the members of your crew, telling the player their backstories, and the other side mission gives you a little bit of the background of one of the crewmates that is an ancient alien hive mind species. The story is pretty straightforward and honestly felt like watching a kid's cartoon, and a bad one. It is extremely predictable, annoying characters who talk too much, and the corniest dialogue. After going through basically nothing together, the crew, of course, hits you with the, "We were family, guys, and the captain would be proud," and it was just so, ugh. I did not care at all about these characters, especially playing as Fox. You're kinda detached from it all. Speaking of Fox, there is a story mission included with the StarFox crossover. Well, calling it a story might be giving it too much credit, but Wolf, of Starwolf, has fled to the Atlas system and Fox shows up looking for him. Fox stumbles into the crew of the Equinox and decides to join them because they help give him info about where Wolf is. From then on, as Fox, you can choose to do all the base game missions or the StarFox missions in whichever order you want, but the Wolf missions are spread out level-wise, so you probably won't be able to pull off doing them all in a row. So working with the Equinox crew, you'll get a lead to the first of the 3 boss bad guys that Wolf has been working with. Once you beat the first, you get a lead to the next, and then beat them, and get a lead to the next, beat them, and get a lead to Wolf. Turns out he's been gathering the enemy tech and weapons here, and is about to take some of it back to the Lilat system, where he'll use those weapons to take control of the whole system. You go and confront him in the nick of time. All 3 of the bosses that you previously beat are here again, so you kill them and then battle Wolf. He tries to escape to Lilat, but you destroy his big base and you beat him. And that's about it. There's 1 or 2 cutscenes in the beginning and end of the StarFox content, and I really did not like the way Wolf was portrayed. He's just the comically evil villain that wants to take over the universe instead of a leader of a mercenary group like he should be. And also, it was pretty dumb that when you beat Wolf, who you followed all the way here to capture, he just flies off into space, and you don't stop him or anything, so yeah. The StarFox team are also included in some of the base game cutscenes. They'll be kind of in the background, never really interacting with characters, so you can tell they were kind of just plopped in there. It's kind of funny because the StarFox team will be in the main cutscenes for like the first fourth of the game, and then it's almost like they forgot because after that you don't see them again until the final cutscene. StarFox DLC also adds the Crimson Moon content, which doesn't really have any story implications. So the story is lacking, but you don't play StarFox for the story, you play it for the gameplay. So how's the gameplay? You pilot a ship which has a gun mount on both the left and right sides. You can choose your pilot, you can choose the guns, and you can choose which spaceship to pilot. Each are upgradable and have their own unique abilities. You can add modifiers to each of the guns and the ship. I chose to play exclusively as Fox and exclusively pilot the Arwing because they're way cooler than anything in the base game. If you don't attach guns to the Arwing, it will shoot the lasers and a charge shot like in StarFox games, but unfortunately they were so underpowered, even with the top level modifiers you can find for them, that I never used them and instead went with the guns that came in the starter kit. The weapons have a status effect which can be frost, fire, or gravity. Your ship is also equipped with a shield that will block incoming projectiles you are facing, and if you time it right, the shield will deflect the projectile back at your enemy. You can also boost plus shield into an enemy to topple them. Each of your weapons have their own cooldown, and the shield, boost, and jump have a cooldown as well, basically your stamina bar. Your ship has two sorts of modes, one being flight and one being hover on the ground, and you'll experience combat in each. There are 4 main enemy types that you'll be fighting against. Grunts, which are the smaller troops that you blast away at. Excavators, which you have to destroy weak points of in order to expose the core and then destroy the core. Primes, which are big walking enemy bosses that have different phases with different weak points, and dreadnoughts, which are big enemy ships protected by a lot of grunts. You whittle away the defenses and then will fly inside the dreadnought to destroy the core. Sometimes enemies will resist certain status damage, but you just blast them with your other gun and it doesn't really change up the combat much. The excavators make the primes more powerful, the primes make the dreadnoughts more powerful, and the dreadnoughts will launch primes onto planets based off a timer. The main gameplay loop is this. You will clear out a planet of enemies, usually starting with excavators and small enemy bases. You will build ally outposts as you clear the planet. You can choose if these outposts will mine you currency, reveal more of the map on the planet, research upgrades for you, or defend the planet for you and provide allies while you fight there. Each will up the planet's alliance with the Equinox crew. Once you take out enough excavators, you'll be able to locate the prime on the planet and you'll take it down. There are 7 planets in the Atlas system. The bottom left of your map will have 3 easy level planets, the bottom right has 2 medium level planets, and the top has 2 hard level planets. You'll need to liberate the planets and build a Starlink tower in each of the 3 sectors, one in the easy, one in the medium, and one in the hard, in order to unlock the location for the final boss. In order to build those Starlink towers, the planet will have to be at a certain level of alliance with you, and that usually means building some outposts and taking out the prime on the planet. Whenever a dreadnought shows up, you'll want to take it out promptly so that more primes aren't launched onto planets. So, is it fun to play? Well, I'll start with the positives. First off, I think the game looks pretty cool. Each of the planets have a different look and you'll see some impressive views flying around in each of them. I was also really impressed how you are seamlessly able to take off from a planet into space, fly through space to another planet, and touch down on that planet. No loading screens or loss of control. It's pretty impressive, considering it works on the Switch, when more modern games built for the most powerful console can't pull it off. I also liked the art design of all the StarFox stuff. It was really nice to finally see the StarFox team in a more modern game. I've always wanted to be able to customize an Arwing's colors in a game, and this one lets you do it. I think it feels pretty good to play, especially the hover mode. Once I got used to not controlling the Arwing like an Arwing, I did enjoy blasting through a lot of enemies. One mechanic I particularly liked using was boosting with my shield up into enemies to topple them over as my guns cooled down. I got into a groove of things, and once I mastered the combat, I had a pretty good time. Fox's ability to call in one of the StarFox team to come fight with you for a short period of time, and when you do so, the game plays a rendition of the original StarFox music. And having Falco by my side while the soundtrack played was a pretty nostalgic experience. I like seeing the ideas from the original StarFox on the SNES explored in a more modern game, but I think they could have done a little bit more with it. And at first I was pretty happy with the variety of the combat encounters. I thought it was really cool how the third phase of the Prime fight had you go from the hover mode to the flight combat, and I was having fun. But then I left the first 2 planets and started to realize something. This is where I'll transition to the negatives. I started to realize this was an Ubisoft game, and you know what that means, copy and paste content. They made one planet and then pasted that same planet 6 times with different visuals. Other than a difference in the level of the enemies on the planets, each planet plays exactly the same. I cleared a good portion of the first 2 worlds, and then a story event happens, and boom, that progress was gone. The game forces you to clear the starting planets again, and upon doing so, that's when I realized exactly what the rest of the game would be. Go to the planet, shoot down a couple excavators, build some outposts, kill a prime, and go to the next planet. Repeat that process 7 times for the 7 planets. And along the way, dreadnoughts will show up and launch a prime immediately when they've spawned, so you'll go back to the planet you already cleared, repeat the prime boss fight for like the 20th time, then go kill the dreadnought and continue on with your mission. So much repetition, and like I've mentioned, the story is not there, so there isn't a lot to keep you going. And I think Ubisoft recognized this, so they kind of turned it into a looter shooter grind fest with the ship and weapon badge upgrades. You'll constantly be finding loot that can be applied to your ship and weapons, but the problem is, these don't change how you play, they basically just make you stronger and do more damage. This game gives levels to the enemies, and when you are engaging in hover combat with a higher level enemy, that's fine because you can use the mechanics to avoid attacks and find the right time to damage your opponent. However, in flight combat in space, this becomes an issue. If you try to go up against a higher level enemy in space, you'll get destroyed. 10 enemies will spawn, and you might be able to take a few out, but with no cover and no way to dodge attacks effectively, you just get destroyed. I felt like it was an artificial barrier to progress padding out the game. Balancing is also off. I did the side missions along with the main mission, and for the final third or fourth of the game, I was way overpowered due to the loot I had found. There was no longer any challenge, and combat became tedious. While I thought the final boss could have been cool because it finally changed things up, I destroyed it easily and quickly, so it wasn't really a fight. So all the issues are here that come with the typical Ubisoft Far Cry 3 open world design. And lastly, while StarFox might be in the game, it isn't a true StarFox game to me. The original StarFox on the SNES and the StarFox 64 are about putting you through unique levels, combat situations, and boss fights that all have a low barrier of entry but allow skilled players to excel. While I agree the sequels should expand on the idea and not just be clones of StarFox 64, I don't think the GameCube games took the series in the right direction. And then while the series was already struggling, Nintendo sacrificed it with Zero as a last-ditch effort to try to sell the Wii U gimmick. While this may not be the ideal StarFox game, I'm happy to at least have something, and to see the franchise isn't completely dead. This wasn't a terrible game. I did have fun at some points while playing it, and if you're a diehard StarFox fan like me, who knows, maybe the toys will be worth something someday. But I definitely wouldn't recommend this game without the StarFox edition.